Kicked my girlfriend out for demanding I abandon my non-biological daughter, and now her family is relentless in their judgment. My partner, 22F, and I, 24 male, have been together for just under a year now. A few days ago, she asked if we could talk, and I immediately feared she wanted to break up. However, after our conversation, it was not what I expected at all. A bit of background for this is I have 2 daughters, aged 4 and 2. I became a single dad when I was 20, just a few months after my first daughter was born. Her mother left us, and I've been raising her on my own ever since. About a year or so later, I met my now ex-partner. She was very pregnant and like me, was facing the reality of being a single mom soon. Her baby daddy had left her and their daughter, leaving her with no support. We were together for almost 2 years and were a blended family, and during that time, I raised our youngest daughter as my own, loving and caring for her as such. Both of my daughters are daddy's girls, and I cherish our relationship. I've never once second-guessed my role as her father. Unfortunately, my ex-partner struggled with mental health issues, including BPD and bipolar disorder, which eventually led to infidelity. Despite our attempts at couples counseling, I realized I couldn't continue the relationship. We split amicably, but I made a promise to my youngest daughter that I would always be there for her, and I fully intend to keep that promise. She spends weekends with me and occasionally stays a few days during the week, and this has been a constant for over a year. Now, fast forward to the present. I met my current partner shortly after my breakup, around a month later. Honestly, it was supposed to be a casual fling, but we hit it off so well that we ended up spending the whole night talking, playing games, and getting to know each other. We didn't go beyond kissing, but it felt great. From the start, I was open about my situation being a single father to 2 girls, and the unique relationship with my youngest daughter. At the time, she seemed fine with it and didn't bring it up again. During our recent talk, she expressed that she's uncomfortable with the fact that I'm still involved in my daughter's life and my ex's life. She said that it's emotionally ignorant and unfair to her that I continue this relationship, and in her words, "You can't possibly love her as much as your actual daughter, she's not even yours." This really hit me hard, and I admit I didn't handle it well and it turned into shouts on both ends. I told her to leave my house. Crappy part was both my kids were in their rooms and heard the whole thing. I really hope they heard hardly anything or nothing at all. It was probably the first time they ever seen me like that. She said she went to stay with her sister, and now everyone is messaging me from her friends and family backing my partner's opinion that she isn't even mine and questioning why I care so much about her. Thankfully my family is on my side and are doing their best to support me emotionally, but it's hard as they live in another state. My mother and stepdad are planning on flying in this coming weekend to help out, which is the best news I've heard all day. Honestly, I'm really confused right now. Am I being unreasonable or unfair? I'm struggling to process my emotions and don't know what to do next. Note, I should also add that my ex and I remain decent friends and she is a great mother to our youngest daughter. However, my oldest daughter's mother is currently MIA and has been for some time and is not in the picture. My youngest daughter's mother is a great mom but works as a flight attendant for a few years now, so that is only the reason my daughter stays with me a couple days a week on some occasions, so she can pick up extra hours when she wants/needs. This only occurs 3 to 4 times a month if that. Mentally she is much better and is doing her best. We just didn't work out, but continues to make sure that our daughter will always have me as her daddy. Also, my GF now doesn't live with me. She does however stay a few nights out of the week over, and we do go out when I find the time. I haven't heard from her since the incident, which maybe is the best. When I wrote this I was definitely trying to word my best during this, and when upset words don't really form in the best way. I do not ever plan on leaving my daughter's life. What I was more looking for in answers was if I was wrong for kicking her out. Should we have talked more about it? I also don't think I hopped into a relationship too fast after my first daughter. It was over a year later and maybe more when I met my ex, and then a month later after that my new GF, which is real fast and was probably the quickest I've ever jumped into a relationship, but I really thought we had a great connection. My first daughter's mom was my high school sweetheart and we were together for years and even was each other's first, but after our daughter was born she completely changed and just decided she had to leave. Update 1. My girls and I are truly grateful. A special thanks to all the parents who stepped up for a child when it wasn't expected. Children often face the harsh realities of broken homes and crime, and they need our protection. They are innocent and didn't choose to be born into this world, so they need us more than we realize. As parents, we may feel we're not doing enough or wish we could change things, but the past is behind us, and all we can do is strive to be better. I have legal rights to both of my children. For my oldest, the courts granted me full custody after her mother abandoned her, and I don't receive child support nor want any from her. For my youngest, I have joint guardianship, which is different from adoption or full guardianship, and visitation. Her mother suggested that since she sees me as her daughter's only father, while adoption isn't possible right now due to her age and our unmarried status, we're safe on that front. The courts typically require a stronger bond before approving adoption, even if we feel differently. During my breakup with my youngest daughter's mother, she deeply regretted her mistake and tried to make amends and wanted to continue our relationship. However, I couldn't move past it, though I still love and care for her as the mother of my child and a good friend. She has since moved on but still views me as her child's only father. Despite her mistake, I know she's worked hard to better herself, and I forgave her a long time ago. To be fair, this relationship was the quickest I've ever been in, and it was only my third one in my entire life. My first relationship lasted years, starting when we were both 14, and my second came over a year later after going through tough therapy to cope with the challenges of being a single father at such a young age. Moving forward, I plan to focus on therapy, spend time at home with my kids, and work on my small cafe business here in the valley. Update 2. Honestly, all of this really blindsided me. Looking back, she seemed perfect. She was always doing little things for me, randomly getting me gifts, and even cooking for me when she stayed over. She'd initiate intimacy every time, and I'd get these constant steamy photos from her, so it honestly seemed like she was really happy and content with everything. I thought I'd lucked out and found someone who truly understood me and made me feel valued. But, in hindsight, it's clear that people are better at hiding things than we often realize. She clearly wasn't okay with any of it, and I had no idea. It's crazy how someone can put on such a perfect front and completely seem like a different person the next day. Anyways, after my post gained some traction, that same night I sent a brief text to her saying that I am sorry for the way she feels and that we aren't right each other and that my daughter will always be my daughter no matter what. My love for my girls will always be greater than. Later last night I was just hanging out with my girls watching Moana 2 in my room. We all passed out in bed thinking it would be a peaceful night. But at 2 a.m. I was woken up by loud banging on my door, which sent a wave of panic through me. I immediately woke up and grabbed my piece and went to see what was going on. It was my now ex-girlfriend, stumbling drunk and emotional, completely out of control. She was pounding on the door, yelling and crying, and honestly, it terrified me and probably my kids as well. When I opened the door, there she was, standing there, begging to talk and wanting me to hear her out some more. To make matters worse, my oldest came to the door since she too wanted to know what was happening. I quickly told her to watch over her little sister, making sure she was okay while I dealt with the situation. My oldest went into big sister mode, which made me proud in that moment. Realizing that things were probably getting out of hand and that I couldn't get her to calm down, I knew I had to do something. I called the police and explained that my drunk ex was at my door, refusing to leave. Within less than 10 minutes, a police car pulled up, and they quickly took her into custody. The situation was over just like that, and I haven't heard from her since. The officers suggested I file a restraining order, which I already planned to do after everything that happened. Then, just a few hours ago, I got a call from an unknown number. It was a friend of hers asking if I had seen her, and it felt so good to tell her that her friend was probably in jail and that she wasn't my responsibility anymore since she wasn't even my blood. That suggestion came from a comment on my last post, and it honestly felt so empowering to finally set that boundary. Now, things are starting to calm down, and I can focus on taking care of my kids and myself. I have blocked everyone associated with her and plan on just living for now and doing what I can to be the best dad. Maybe one day I will show my girls this post in times if they ever feel alone in this world, to let them know that daddy will always have their back. To my wonderful children, I am proud of you and will always be. No matter who comes into our lives, I will always choose to be your father first and never last. I cannot wait to see what amazing things you do in this world and what amazing things you will do for others. And when my time eventually comes, know this, you will both always be my greatest achievement. Update 3. The first few days, the house was tense. Both my girls were a little shell-shocked, my oldest more quiet than normal, my youngest glued to my side clutching that battered Moana plush like it was a life raft. I took a couple days off from the cafe, letting my assistant manager pick up the slack, thank God for her. Spent the extra time just being dad, pancakes with smiley faces, picnics on a blanket in the backyard, and way too many frozen sing-alongs. I scheduled an emergency session with my therapist, who, let's face it, needs a raise at this point. She reminded me that, even in the wildest storms, the boat I'm steering has 2 precious passengers, and I'm their anchor. Therapy for single dads, 10/10, highly recommend. Then, things took a surreal left turn. On Thursday, there's a knock at my door around noon. I peek through the window and my jaw drops. My ex, the mother of my youngest, is standing there with her mom. My default panic mode switched on, but they both had this gentle, kind of nervous energy. Turns out, the commotion at my place had somehow looped back to my ex through mutual acquaintances. Small world, big mouths, I guess. She apologized for showing up unannounced, but said she was genuinely worried about our daughter and wanted to talk about how we co-parent, not to judge, but to figure out how we could be even tighter as a team, especially after seeing the ripple this drama had on both girls. We had this honest, 3-hour conversation. Some tough truths came up, about boundaries, family, and what happens when lines get blurred with new partners. Her mom thanked me for loving her grandbaby as my own, and even offered to watch both girls for an afternoon if I ever needed a break. I didn't realize how much I'd needed to hear that from someone else. But here's where it gets truly nuts, the cafe. 2 days after the dust settles, I swing by to check in and find a handwritten note tucked under the back door. It's from a dad I barely know, a regular who comes in, orders black coffee, barely speaks. The note is simple, but heavy. Saw your post through my cousin. I don't know you, but I want you to know you're not alone. If you need another single parent in your circle, it'd be good to have someone who gets it. My kid and your kids could have used more dads like us. He left his number. I took a chance and texted him. Fast forward to yesterday. Our two girls, his daughter is 5 and obsessed with dinosaurs, are now best friends, marching around my backyard like T-Rexes. He and I ended up talking for hours about the weirdness of parenting when life hands you curveballs, bio versus heart, the real parent debate, and how hard it is to date while being an actual, present dad. It's the first time in ages I felt seen outside my own family. Later that night, my oldest, all of 4 years old but wise beyond her years, said out of nowhere, "Daddy, can my sister be my real sister forever?" I teared up right there. I told her, in every way that matters, she already is. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel like I was just treading water. The final twist? I get a letter in the mail from my ex-girlfriend's dad. He wrote to apologize for his daughter's behavior. Turns out she'd been keeping a lot of her feelings bottled up for years, and it all exploded at once. He thanked me for how I handled things and said he hopes his grandkids, if he ever has them, get a dad even half as dedicated. Not gonna lie, I didn't expect that at all. So, yeah, life is still messy. But there's good stuff, too. A co-parenting arrangement stronger than before, new dad friends, and the kind of unconditional love from my girls that I wouldn't trade for the world. My mother and stepdad finally made it in for a visit. They've been spoiling the girls, fixing up the backyard, and even helped me set up a little home security camera. Peace of mind, finally. Update 4. If you told me a month ago I'd be here writing this, I'd have laughed in your face. Life has thrown me more plot twists in 3 weeks than a whole season of Grey's Anatomy. I seriously debated titling this Post-Parenthood, now with extra side quests. Here's the latest, and bear with me, because it gets a little wild. Last Saturday, the cafe was slammed. Nothing says weekend like a line out the door and a toddler in dinosaur pajamas coloring on the pastry counter. In the middle of my latte juggling act, a trio walks in: my ex's mom, my new dad friend, and my ex, the one who showed up drunk on my doorstep. At first, I thought I was hallucinating from lack of sleep and caffeine. Turns out, my ex's mom convinced her to attend a small, local parents group meeting. The catch? It was hosted at my cafe, which she discovered via a viral TikTok someone made about the single dad who stood up for his kids. I wish I was kidding. Apparently, one of my regulars. Is TikTok famous? So, the universe, in its infinite wisdom, decided to put us all under one roof, surrounded by way too many cupcakes. The room went silent when she walked in. She looked embarrassed, hair pulled back, eyes red, but she quietly apologized to me, in front of everyone, for what she'd done. It was awkward but genuine, and, to my utter shock, most people responded with a round of applause. Afterward, a few members of the group came over to thank me for changing the conversation about what defines a parent. Someone even asked if I'd be willing to host a monthly support night for non-traditional families at the cafe. I said yes. Why not, right? Life, apparently, is not done tossing me curveballs. The local news heard about the TikTok video and reached out, wanting to do a short feature on the cafe's new community night. I almost said no, I'm not out here trying to get famous, just keep my rent paid. But one of the reporters is a single mom and she promised to make it about the kids, not me. We filmed on Thursday. My girls got to help daddy work, giggling in their matching aprons. The oldest stole the show by looking straight into the camera and saying, "My daddy makes the best pancakes, but I'm the boss around here. If I ever need help promoting the cafe, clearly she's got it handled." Remember my dad friend? Turns out, the universe was just getting started. Now, there's a group of us, 4 single parents, 3 dads and a mom, who lost her husband a few years back and juggles 2 boys plus a foster daughter. We've made this impromptu Sunday family brunch a thing. This past weekend, there were 8 kids in my backyard, all shrieking wildly, competing to see who could bury the most dinosaur eggs, plastic balls, in the sandbox. One dad, let's call him Mike, is a carpenter, and before I knew it, he's mapped out plans for a treehouse for the kids. My mom and stepdad joined in. It's practically a community project now. It feels like I blinked and the backyard's become the neighborhood hangout. My oldest announces that Sunday is dinosaur day and no grown UPS are allowed in the treehouse except dads. That's fine by us. We were quite content watching from the porch and swapping stories about blowout diapers and the horrors of lost pacifiers. Now for the part I didn't see coming. Midweek, a letter, actual pen and paper, from my oldest daughter's birth mom. After years of silence, she wrote that she's sorry for the way things ended and that she's proud of the dad I've become, even if she couldn't be there. She said she'd been seeing the cafe on social media, recognized the girls, and realized they're thriving. I don't know if she'll ever truly want to reconnect, but it brought a weird closure I didn't know I needed. When, if, she's ready to be more, she knows where to find us, but for the first time, I don't feel like I'm waiting. I found both girls last night, curled up together in the new reading corner we set up. My youngest was reading a picture book aloud, mostly nonsense, but her big sister was listening like it was gospel. I eavesdropped behind the doorway, and my oldest whispered, "Don't be scared. Daddy loves you no matter what. Sisters for life." Heart melted. All this isn't to say things are magically fixed. We still have fits, late night wake-ups, and sometimes I feel totally lost. But there's a new rhythm, a kind of hopefulness. The girls are laughing more, I'm sleeping a bit better. There's a bigger support network than I could have ever dreamed of, and my daughters are surrounded by more love than ever. Not sure what adventure comes next, but I'm here for it. Thanks, Reddit, your words changed my life. And to anyone reading this while stuck in the trenches, keep showing up. Even if your family doesn't look like the fairy tale, it can still be magical. Update 5. You'd think the universe would catch its breath by now, but apparently, my life is what happens when you hit shuffle on a drama comedy playlist with extra kid laughter as background noise. If you're following along, buckle up, because the last week was the wildest yet. I'm writing this with glitter in my hair, not on purpose, a birthday candle stub in my pocket, and my neighbor's dog asleep on my porch. First, the cafe goes prime time. Sort of remember how the local news did that small piece on our non-traditional family night? Someone at a national daytime talk show, yes, the actually on TV one, spotted the clip. On Monday, I got an email that looked so fake I almost deleted it. We'd love to fly you and your daughters out to talk about your story in the cafe. Well, after a very skeptical phone call and some logistical gymnastics, solo dad plus toddler and preschooler on an airplane equals anxiety, I said yes. My assistant manager all but threatened to duct tape me to the plane if I didn't accept. We flew out Thursday morning. The girls lost their minds over window seats, and I discovered I can recite Frozen 2 entirely from muscle memory. On set, they were pros, especially my oldest, who greeted the hosts with "I brought my dinosaur," but she's shy. When they asked me what family means, my toddler blurted, "Cake." Not wrong, TBH, after it aired, orders at the cafe tripled overnight. We're getting notes from single parents nationwide wanting to share stories, swap advice, or just, I don't know, breathe out, for once. I'd never imagined a just getting by cafe could be a beacon for so many folks just trying to do right by their kids. Second, the cake fiasco and an unexpected reconciliation. We'd planned my youngest's 5th birthday for Saturday, first big party since the latest chaos. Think low-key backyard bash, just our new Sunday brunch crew, my mom and stepdad, and a handful of kids from preschool. I discovered something new. Nothing says modern dad like YouTube searching rainbow cake tutorials at midnight. Well, 2 hours into the party, disaster. One slice in, the cake tips off the table, lands face down, and, a second later, my daughters and their cousins are in full-on cake Armageddon. I'm trying to defrosting a toddler's ear when I notice. My ex, the drunk at the door one, is standing by the fence, holding a present. I'll spare the play-by-play, but after a pause, and some subtle go-ahead nods from the parents group, she gently asks if she can give the girls her gift, a plush dino and a hand-drawn card for each. My oldest looks up and goes, "You can come in, but you have to wear this cape," and plops a superhero towel over her. It wasn't some magic movie fix, but it was honest, awkward, and weirdly sweet. She didn't linger long, but before leaving, she thanked me in front of the girls for teaching her what real family looks like. The sun was setting and my daughter was smearing cake on my face. I figured, let it be. Third, Dinosaur Day is now official holiday. The dad carpenters and my mom's partner somehow actually finished the treehouse. Not a plywood box, but a full-on, kid-level castle complete with a flag emblazoned with a Moana sticker and a dino footprint. On Sunday, the whole chili and lemonade crew showed up for the grand opening. My oldest cut the ribbon with kid scissors and announced, in her best MC voice, "This is for everyone who needs a hideout, even moms." Seeing the parents, some with blended kids, one set of foster twins, even my ex's mom, sprawled on picnic blankets, I realized our support circle wasn't just me patching holes in my own life, it was a real community. One dad's teenage daughter even offered to start babysitting club so the adults can have a monthly movie night. First vote, Jurassic Park. Go. Figure. Fourth, old ties, new bonds. Life really just keeps going. I got a tentative email from my oldest birth mom. She doesn't want to re-enter the girls' lives, yet, but she sent a box of things from when she was small, tiny clothes, a music box, a letter. My oldest insisted her whole family open it together. My youngest hugged the music box like it was a living treasure. I told both girls the only thing that matters is, whoever loves you, that's family. My former partner, the younger's mom, later texted, "You're handling this like dad of the year." I replied, "I'm winging it, but at least I have backup." She laughed, and asked if we'd like to start a co-parent book club with some others from the parents group. My answer? Why not? Fifth, surprises still around every corner this morning. I came downstairs to find a post-it on the fridge. "We made your coffee, Daddy." It's Dino Strong. The two of them, with help from Grandma, clearly, had set up their own cafe in the living room, with a menu, aprons, and everything. I was promptly served half-cold toast and apple juice by my managers. If this is a new era, I'm here for it. So, what have I learned? Maybe the biggest lesson, you can't control what storms hit, or who leaves you battered at your doorstep. But sometimes, if you keep saying yes, and keep coming back for your kids, your battered lifeboat turns into a whole fleet, cake fights and all. We're still figuring it out. We still have hard days, lonely ones. I still wish, sometimes, for a normal that never really was. But we have laughter, dinosaur flags, and a line at the cafe that somehow always ends with a new story. If you're reading this and feeling alone, or like your life's too strange to untangle, don't give up on your story. You never know what's coming next. Update 6. I have now firmly accepted my life as a combination of parenthood, Parks and Rec, and Survivor, Dino Brunch Edition. If any casting directors are reading this, my 5-year-old apparently has her sights set on Celebrity Chef, and my 4-year-old just broke up a sandbox power struggle with the phrase, "Let's use our words, not our roars." The wild never stops. So what's happened? Well, a lot. Here's the new, ridiculous chapter. 2 weeks ago, the preschool sent home an emergency note. The roof started leaking. Would every family consider helping out with a fundraising drive? Of course, in my infinite wisdom, I proudly volunteered the cafe as bake sale HQ, not quite grasping that HQ would mean 50 sugar-amped kids, elbow to elbow, rolling dough and smearing rainbow icing across every reachable surface. I thought I'd seen sticky. I was wrong. But here's what I didn't expect. Those parents who used to barely nod at each other in pickup lines? They turned out in force. My dad crew showed up with trays of brownies and actual spreadsheets. One is an accountant and had a whole Gantt chart for cupcake logistics. Even my ex, the youngest mom, appeared, flower on her nose, and genuinely worked side by side with my Sunday brunch group, joking about who made the ugliest cookie. Here's the kicker: we raised more money in a weekend than the preschool's ever seen. Someone from the school board thanked me for reminding parents we're in this together. I nearly cried, right up until a preschooler handed me what I thought was a chocolate muffin, which turned out to be Play-Doh with raisins. 0-10, do not recommend. Let's talk single dad solidarity. My dad friend, the T-Rex's dad, admitted sheepishly over coffee, "Dude, I haven't been on a date in 3 years. Do you even remember how to talk to normal adults?" Reader, we hatched a plan. Sunday family brunch would become an informal kids play date, parent speed friendship zone, with zero pressure and a promise to chase small children if anyone's kid melted down. It started as a joke but turned real. 2 of our regular moms hit it off and ended up swapping playlists and single mom war stories in my living room while the kids built a pillow fort of doom. Later that week, one of them texted me, "I forgot I could actually laugh until my cheeks hurt." Yeah, me too. My own romantic life? Still on dad first mode, though my assistant manager keeps dropping hints about her friend from pottery class. Maybe one day. Okay, so this one hit me in the solar plexus. Mid-pancake flipping at Sunday brunch, my ex's mom, the woman who once glared at me from across every pickup for years, pulled me aside. She squeezed my shoulder and said, "You've given those girls the kind of family I didn't know was possible. If you ever need someone in your corner, not just cookies at Christmas, but really, you let me know. You are ours now, too." Can we normalize tears in the syrup aisle? No? Too bad, it happened. And here's the unfinished puzzle piece: my ex herself, the one from the midnight meltdown. She's kept her respectful distance, but last Sunday, toward the end, as everyone was saying goodbye, she hung back and said, quietly, but where I could hear, "Thank you for still seeing the best in me, when I couldn't." I told her the truth. My girls taught me that. She handed me a card. Inside was a hand-scribbled "I'm sorry," and a $10 gift card for the cafe. But what got me was the PS, "If you let me, I want to keep showing up for them, even if it's just as the backup fairy godmother at birthdays." What does that mean for the future? I don't know, and that's okay. The cafe's little viral moment has now led to letters and DMs from other parents across the world. One stood out, a Scottish single dad whose story is eerily similar. He's raising his niece as his own. Well, he video called during our latest Dino Day. My girls were equal parts amazed and convinced he was Shrek. His accent, his kindness, and his attempt at Moana karaoke made him an instant honorary uncle. He's organizing a virtual global brunch, so next month, we'll be Zooming with single parents in 3 different countries. What a world. Here's a plot twist. Last Friday, my oldest and youngest invited all the family, parents, friends, grandparents, up to the treehouse for a secret club meeting. Everyone squeezed inside, knees knocking, giggles everywhere, even old Mr. Peters from 3 doors down. He brought lemonade, not knowing what he was in for. There, on a painted sign in the corner, the girls had written, "Family equals anyone who loves you, even with cake on your nose." When I asked who taught them that, my oldest winked. "I heard Grandma say it to you, Daddy." We all just sat, crammed and happy, basking in a muddy yard, with nothing fancier than hot chocolate and leftover bake sale cookies. The best for last, my folks wrapped up their visit by quietly pulling me aside. They'd seen the chaos, the love, and the growing clan, or whatever I'm calling it. My stepdad, not much for big words, told me, "You're doing better than you think. The girls aren't going to remember the drama, they'll remember being loved to pieces. I wish we could have given you this when you were a boy. But there's nothing stopping us from giving it to them now." And just as I hugged them goodbye, my youngest, normally the tornado, looked up, grabbed my face, and said, clear as daylight, "I love you, Dada. Always, even when I grow big." I don't remember the last time I cried in broad daylight, but there it was. There's so much unknown, but suddenly, the chaos has roots. The cafe's become a hub not just for caffeine but for community. My girls are surrounded by a mashup family of their own making. parents, honorary aunts, Dino friends, reformed exes, Scottish uncles, and grandparents determined to fill every last gap. Our family isn't perfect, sometimes it's loud, sticky, confusing. But it's growing. And for the first time in years, I'm not afraid of what comes next. If you're also in the trenches and think your mess is too much to share, look again. Your weird little tribe could be exactly what someone else needs. Or, at the very least, a place where everyone gets a slice of cake, of love, even of cold apple juice. P.S. If you ever find yourself driving past a cafe with dinosaur and Moana flags in the window, come in, we have pancakes, and a chair waiting.